How about that music? This is the 8-bit version of Midna's Lament for the Nintendo. But actually, credit goes to the gamer of all gamers, um, not Bulby or some of the other people who do 8-bit remixes. They're all great people. And I've hit whether it's old man fatigue or it's just fatigue for fatigue's sake. I don't know what it is. Now, I'll just go over the topic. I'll go over, we're looking at a little slideshow here because this is more of a podcast type of video. I have run out of things to care or talk about. I really have run out of things to care or talk about as far as new things. Um, you could say you could just go outside, but outside is, the thing is that if you spend too much time on the internet, whether you're looking through email, looking through social media, looking through YouTube, looking through Twitch, interacting with people on chat or not, Discord, umbilical cord, you get flushed. You got to get outside and look at the trees. But then you realize, oh shit, I don't live in Hollywood. I don't live in Burbank. I don't live in Mayberry. This area is full of drug dealers and drug addicts and gangbangers and winos and inbreds who think they know everything all the time. Got time to go back to my computer. Oh, it's raining. Guess I can't be outside. And we go back in this vicious fucking circle of ours. So I lament on, the fact that it's a vicious circle of bullshit. And I'll go over these things. Now, with books, as we look at these books, I have so many different books. I remember I collected books. I'm not sure what got me into it. I don't think it was the Da Vinci Code, which I stopped reading, by the way. I did a whole short about books I would read during the pandemic, and I read all of them except for the Da Vinci Code, because I just realized that was just utter bullshit, as I should know that. But most people don't read these books. Some people, I remember seeing girls would carry books, and it's just, to me, it's just a waste of time trying to convince girls to read books of their favorite movies, and they don't really care to. They just want to watch the movie. They want to see what's going on with Ella, or Bella and Edward, and the Wolf Boy. I forgot the Wolf Boy's name. Who cares? Who cares? The Taylor Lautner character. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so I don't collect the Harry Potter. I don't collect Twilight. You saw me with my Leviathan trilogy, which was the World War One by Scott Westerfeld. I was into that kind of stuff. I was into not so much mystery. My family would be into mystery all the time, like Ellery Queen or Murder, She Wrote or Law and Order. My dad tried to get me to read books all the time, and I was never into books because my dad would try to force things upon me with the subliminal threat of physical violence. The man used a belt. He would toss shoes at us. He would spank us. It's like parents would be like, okay, I'll have this kid, but if he looks at me the wrong way, I'll smack him, and then he'll go to his corner and behave, and then I'll make him like things that I want him to like, and I got to go back to my 8-hour job, and he better get in line because I didn't really want him here. That was my childhood, by the way. I mean, I heard a kid get smacked, and the dad's like, "Rrr!" And I was like, my blood froze because I was cleaning outside, cleaning yard work last Sunday. My blood froze. I was like, have we really not learned our lessons from the 80s and 90s? It's like, why hit your kid? You know? But anyway, my dad wanted me to read books. And eventually, after he died, I read books. I would read books about, I have a book called Before There Was a Hollywood, about the 1830 to 1930, how Hollywood changed California. I have the Marvel behind the scenes book about how Marvel became a big industry from the 1930s all the way to the 80s. I have comic books. I love the comics. We'll get into, well, before I do, I remember covering the two books about George Soros and Joey Diaz. I got 300 views for that. I'm really happy with that. I'm glad you all like Joey Diaz's book. I like the Joey Diaz book. George Soros' book isn't as relevant, but it's going to play more into the election year because why the fuck can it? So I like to collect different books. Why I'm fatigued from books is that it's there's not a lot I like. I remember going to book reviews, and those were a joke and a half because it's a bunch of old ladies with their wine and their food, and they're just giggling, and there's nothing. I mean, by the way, giggling. These are like 50 plus older women, 60s, 70s, with their know-it-all attitude. They don't learn. I had to deal with women like that at the supermarket. Like, what does this world come to? So no, I don't really deal with much with books, but I'm always open to reading something new if it's something different. I have at least a couple of science fiction books, one mystery novel, one Outer Limits type of book, one that was like Agatha Christie, but I didn't read much of it. Um, a couple of nonfiction books about killing monsters, how children deal with violence as a child, playing with toy guns, even if it's a stick outside. Different books like that. But comic books. Comic books. This is one of the last series of Dark Horse's Star Wars before the Disney buyout. And when they returned, they were not the same people. Try to find a comic book that Dark Horse is making on Star Wars that's more pivotal than the last stuff you saw in the 90s. I dare you. I dare you to find something better than the 90s and 2000s Star Wars. It doesn't get better than this. This was like 2014, 2015. Yeah, comic books. I stopped collecting them in. I stopped collecting Superman comics in 2000, and I would get the Superman Batman by Jeff Loeb, and then I got a little bit of comic books before the Infinite Crisis, the sort of sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths in 2005, from 85 to 2005. Did get the Earth One books. I did collect the, what was it? The War World saga, and I collected Ultimate Marvel. Now, one of the main reasons I'm not into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is because I collected Ultimate Marvel from 2000 to 2011 or so. Yeah, because that's when Peter Parker's Spider-Man died for like a year. Oh, they killed him off and brought him back, which I was like, I rolled up my eyes, like, why? Can he just die and not come back? It's not even the original 616 Spider-Man. But I collected Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men by Mark Miller. There was Brian Michael Bendis for Spider-Man, and Ultimate Team Up, in which Spider-Man met a bunch of other superheroes, including Doctor Strange's son. And then you had Mark Miller on X-Men and Ultimates, which was Avengers. Then you had Ultimate Fantastic Four. You had Ultimate Daredevil, which wasn't that great, but it was an all right story. It was a very simple, watered down story about the love story between Daredevil and Elektra, which I thought was okay. Um, and after all that, I just stopped reading that. So I didn't read much of Marvel. I do have the Earth X trilogy with Earth X, Universe X, Paradise X. I collected the He-Man comic books, and I stopped collecting after Val Staples left. But once I did come back for the DC Comics run for last decade, I came back for Injustice comic books for DC Comics, atop of the Earth One books. So there is a fatigue in that. Even if there's some really good ones, I didn't even buy the Masterverse comic books, especially the CGI crossover. It just wasn't that good. It wasn't. There was no point, no need. This deteriorated. The Star Wars Dark Horse deteriorated, and when it returned with the High Republic, I was just like, I checked out. I checked the fuck out. All right, that's how I feel. Then we get to the animated movies. DC's kind of run itself dry. I called out the bullshit with the. I just didn't want to see. I didn't want to see And I don't plan to ever see the Justice League War World. There's no point. Crisis on Infinite Earths. They call it. They're going to call it Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths because I guess people are too stupid to know that that means DC Comics. I guess Batman Ninja was great, and there were some other good ones. I mean, the only saving grace would be I would say what is it? I mean, the older stuff, but the Long Halloween from the Tomorrowverse was the only thing worth a damn. Prodigy may come back. I may want to get more Prodigy. Prodigy looked promising, and it still does. Only one thing was going to come back, okay? And it wasn't going to be, as far as I could tell, it wasn't going to be the new He-Man stuff, the new cartoon. So if we could get one of these two things back, it was going to be Prodigy. So I'm happy that we're going to get the rest of the first season, and then the second season is up in the air, but there's a lot of people who are petitioning for that because why cancel something that was actually fucking working? And Star Wars animation, I just don't like. It doesn't get better than this. It really doesn't. That was some of the best stuff. I guess you could say Avatar: The Last Airbender was probably Dave Filoni's best work, and then it degraded from that to Clone Wars, and then it degraded from that to Rebels, and like the quality, as my teacher would explain, it goes down, down, down. Like it's just not the thing that you were hoping for. So that's how that worked. But speaking of animation, there was nothing about this Revolution. This is from Revolution. Nothing about this excited me. Now, I'll admit, when the Rio Blast and Snout Spout and Buzz Off came to fight one guy, which is like Scareglow. But Scareglow can trick you. Scareglow is like the Scarecrow in Batman, right? If you're not careful, he can mess with your head. So I like that they all fought Scareglow like he was nothing. I'm sorry, but I've seen better stories. And I don't mean to be a grouch, but, that's just how it is. The problem with this, in contrast to Ninja Turtles, is that this is trapped in an anomaly of adult fanatics, but I feel like it's going into a dummy adult category here, or dummy adult territory. Oh yeah, this is where Skeletor turns into a cyborg and he's embracing his new life, only because he was like subdued, right? Wow. There is no, and by the way, Hordak's in the next room. There's no way that Skeletor doesn't know he's being fucking fooled. Yeah, it's Joker acting here. Don't get me started on my fatigue of the figures. But I'm collecting whatever's left. I ordered a couple of things. I did get an account or identity on Mattel Creations. There's only one. I do want to get Lady Slither, and I've admitted this as such when we covered the figures last time. I do want to get Lady Slither. I do want to get Vicron. Not impressed with Fangor. Do like the Eternia Tower. There's very few things I'd want with that. It's kind of like it's the same things. They've canceled this cartoon because reasons. There's only one figure left, Mossman, and they're not going to release that, are they? Are they? And I get right now we're in the middle of a change. James Gunn will take over with his movies in 2025. And we have, I think, Joker 2 coming up next year. I don't know where Batman 2 is. And the only thing I can say is that I could have made a short about this, but I just didn't care. I did see the article before all the YouTubers are jumping up and down, jumping up and down. Oh my God, Wonder Woman 3, what does all this mean? Blah, 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 blah. Like and subscribe to the video. Yeah, all this really means is that she's not fired and that, ideas are being passed around and maybe they'll still discuss the proper seven-figure, amount between Gal's agent and Gal, and everybody in the room was like, oh, okay, great, this will work. I remember she had a hard time with stunts, so that was not a pleasant time. I think she had a hard time with Justice League doing stunts. I think she had back problems and shit. So there's that to consider. after 84. Do you think I'm excited for Wonder Woman 3? No. I mean, this is news, but I just don't know. And I just don't care. I'm fatigued with these. I'm fatigued with a lot of the comic book movies now. I am going to go see Blue Beetle, especially since Zack Snyder recommended that we should go see it. And Aquaman, Lost City of it, the Lost Kingdom. I don't even know where that is because of the strike. We're reaching the end of things, the end of days, and I feel like we just need a hiatus. I think because there's just too much forced story. With Star Wars, I already know what that is. Look up your favorite YouTuber who's probably anti woke or probably just has enough sense to say, yeah, Mandalorian's not going to do so well. Who knows what's going to happen with Ahsoka? Writer's strike, writer's strike. We don't know what's going on. And now you're seeing the image that I always put down here. Now it's in front of us here. The Fallout, well, the board games in general, I still collect. I still have my Star Trek chests over there and a lot of other board games like Space Invaders. I have like every kind of game, and I don't mind sharing like the Zelda board game with you. It's not very long each video, and I'm going to try to crank these out so you know how I play this, how you can play it. But I'm content more than fatigued. But like I see a lot of other people's videos. It's about collecting your resources, and they're very wife family friendly. They're just I don't know. This one you have to learn more. You have to really get into Fallout. But it feels like an open world, kind of go on multiple quests that I haven't really seen represented before. And I feel like some games are just not doing that these days, like where you do fast travel, you go into unknown territory. Zelda's like this, but Zelda is a little bit easier to set up than Fallout. That's why I kind of share the Zelda game board games with you. Because if the electricity ever goes out or you drain your battery, what do you play? What do you play? You need something that doesn't require battery. I think what's sad is that there's a lot of great ideas like Hellraiser Origins or Masters of the Universe that'll get left out in the mud, out in the cold, because obviously Mattel wants to do something else. Nothing is sadder than when you see planned ideas more than the ideas themselves. Like the planned ideas, the best laid plans, and they end up somewhere hidden away. And that fatigues me greatly because what we get instead is not the thing I really wanted. Now, everybody has their own narratives of movies they want to see. I want to always see evolution of stories. I don't want to see the same stupid stories. Like with Revolution. If I told you about those comic books from Masters of the Universe from DC Comics, why would you want to go backwards and watch Skeletor turn into a cyborg? It doesn't make sense to me. None of it did. It's just I guess the only thing I can look forward to is Super Mario Brothers Wonder, maybe the RPG remake. I do plan to get Pikmin 4 at some point. I'm just not getting it right now. But I played the demo for most of you so you can see what it looks like me playing. What does it look like if I'm playing this, right? So, and then I have the Steam Deck, but I doubt that they're going to release Starfield on here. But there's other games, and I'm glad I got Ratchet and Clank. I may get Metro Exodus. You can get Metro Exodus on here. You can get Red Dead Redemption 2 on here. So that's kind of the newer things I'm looking forward to, other than whatever I buy from Mattel. But I don't have that energy, and I know Mattel is trying to just do as little as possible. That's my fatigue story. It's depressing right now. I'm trying to build my fan base. I think it's difficult. And then I saw recently that Eric July is like striking down YouTube channels who show his comic book pages. I don't know what to tell you about that. I really don't. If he's doing that, fuck him. Now look, Eric became famous because one of the reasons he started out as a guy who did track and field and had his own rock band. He became famous because he criticized Supergirl, the TV show, which I really didn't care for it all that much, but there were some episodes I liked. So, honestly, and I made a long comment on Nerdette's reviews. Nerdette's, she has her own take on things. But one of the things I said on Nerdette's one of her community posts was that I'm not paying $35. I'd rather pay a discount price for the ebook, give a fair review, and that's it. You know, and it's like, what can anyone do? The guy, he criticizes DC Comics for gimmicks, and he makes gimmicks for his own comic books. So who is he to criticize any big industry? You know. So I mean, you're buying a Rippaverse product, like a Rippaverse spray bottle, Rippaverse Joy-Cons, Rippaverse DVDs. Okay, all you're doing is buying another pretty Rippaverse product because you go on the guy's YouTube channel, not because the guy. When I saw people doing fan art for ISOM for a comic book that hadn't even come out yet, I felt horrified. I guess somebody said, what is it? Cope and seethe. Yeah, you cope and seethe. You know what it is? It's when parents tell their kids, if you want these entitlements, you have to work for it. Well, some people don't have to work for it, do they? And the irony is that it's a black man, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he's got, people doing fan art. You know how old the characters are in my comic? The one I've been drawing, my own characters? They go all the way back to 2000. 2000. There's a playlist called 23 Years of Story, or something like that. 22 Years of Story. I think it's 20 years of story. I'm not sure what it is, but I have like all those comic strips that go back to the year 2000 and a little bit like in 97. And not once have people ever cared about my stuff. Not once. Not once. I never saw people really care about my work to make fan art of my work. Of Drake and Rye and Gino and Rosemary and Jorge, of the Circus Freaks that I created in 97. And when I see people and they're making, fan art of stories of characters that didn't have a lot of character development, it was just one comic book and it wasn't that good from all the stills and all the scans I've read of it. So I'm fatigued from the grass being greener because of steroids, or you paint the grass green. So it's not really greener grass. It's fake green. It's astroturf. I'm mad at the outside world. I'm mad at the inside world, the internet. I'm mad at the movies, the TV shows, the comic books, the board games. Maybe I've just reached my limit. Maybe I've seen all I can see. Maybe I've read all I can read. Maybe I've heard all I can hear. There might be a surprise or two, but I'm just creating my own stuff now. And I want people to understand I'm not going to do multiple autistic style videos where I talk about the same topics over and over and over. If I talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer, I would talk about it once and move on with my life. If there's something that really personally grabs me, I'm going to talk about it. Otherwise, I don't give a shit. I really don't care. And what I do care about, I hope you can care as well. But I'm fatigued, and it's not that we can't write good stories. It's Hollywood corporate by the book attitudes, and it's forced fatigue by these same these algorithms of writers who are either woke or broke, don't know how to write, but they got in somehow. Daddy let them in. Their uncle works at the company. They got in. And people like you or me who was always told, if you want this thing, you have to work for it. You have to push that rock up the hill. Charlie Brown pushed that rock up the hill. Do you know why? So he could kick the football. What the fuck happened, right? So yeah, if you like this video, you know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be showing off some of, I don't know. I have done already 2 stories. I'm fatigued from doing my own stories. I'm doing Superman Dynasty, which is technically almost done. I'm doing the second short stories from Ghost Passage, which is the one you saw with Rosemary and the bounty hunters. But this is Zoo Chispa, Gino and his heavy metal Spanish rock band, and the sort of the dark humor. And that's technically almost done. It's more than halfway done. But now I'm trying to do something in the style of the He-Man, the Gods and Machines, or the Masters of the Universe in the Gerard universe. Whatever catches my attention now. That's it. That's what's catching my attention. That's all there is. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to eat something, play a little game, and go to bed. Tomorrow night, I will do a Thursday night gaming to welcome the weekend, to welcome us into the weekend, because Friday night we'll do the kids' WB Saturday morning stuff. All right?